Hey guys, what's up? So I should probably start this by apologizing for not getting my filming schedule quite right. You guys are going to be watching this after St. Patrick's Day, and yet this is a St. Patrick's Day video. So I apologize for that. I'm filming literally day before St. Patrick's Day. It would be physically impossible for this video to be up on Sunday, but I wanted to do it anyway, and I figured you guys wouldn't mind if it went up a little bit later. So for St. Patrick's Day, I thought about doing my traditional holiday freckles, and I apologize, but that is not what I'm doing today. I've actually been craving doing a more complicated, more artistic look. I feel like I haven't done one of those in a really long time. And so I thought today would be the perfect opportunity to turn myself into a snake. Yes, a snake, because of St. Patrick. If you don't know the story about St. Patrick and why he's celebrated, it's because he banished all the snakes from Ireland and he rid Ireland of evil and all that. But basically, they weren't actual snakes. Ireland never had snakes to begin with. He banished the pagans from Ireland. He brought Christianity to Ireland. So I personally kind of hate him. But I do recognize that St. Patrick's Day has evolved to be more of a celebration about Irish heritage and culture, and so it's really great in that sense. But St. Patrick as like a person, kind of not a huge fan. So I figured I would turn myself into a snake, symbolizing, like, I don't know, the snake he didn't banish from Ireland, or something along those lines. Although I'm not in Ireland anymore. I used to live in Ireland. Anyway, let me just jump right into this and I will continue rambling as I go along. But before I begin, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So for the design, I'm taking inspiration from a prosthetic piece by RBFX. They have a full snake face that they have sculpted and they have for sale. And had I planned this better, maybe I would have gotten my hands on that prosthetic piece. But I did not. So I'm going to do what I do best, and I'm going to try to change the shapes on my face just using paint, using shadows and highlights, and fingers crossed it works out. So for my color scheme, I think I'm going to keep it in the greens and golds and bronzes because it is St. Patrick's Day, so I want to have green in there. Although I know that green is kind of overused when it comes to snake makeup looks, but I still want to have some green in there. But I'm probably going to mix it in with a little bit of bronze or gold, and I don't know, we'll see. I have some cream paints in front of me, and I'm just gonna start. Most of the cream paints I'm gonna be using are Makeup Forever, but I couldn't find my green cream stick, so I'm gonna go in with the NYX SFX cream color. So I'm just going to kind of map out. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I have covered up my brows. That's why they look a little weird. If you don't know how to cover up your brows, I have a pretty decent tutorial on how to do that, which you can watch by clicking up here. So I'm just going to kind of map out the shapes. Rather, I'm blocking the colors where I want them. Kind of figuring out where I'm going to have everything. But I don't like this shade of green. It's too blue-green. I definitely want to warm it up a little bit. I can do that afterwards. I'm also gonna carve out the hollows of my eyes. I'm gonna wait and do the forehead later, I think, but this is just a rough sketch. I think I'm gonna go in with gold, and I'm using the Makeup Forever color stick in the color ME402. That's just the gold. I'm gonna apply that kind of on my cheekbone. This color actually doesn't have a lot of coverage. It's more shine than anything else. So I might not use this so much. I think I'm also going to use a foundation stick, and this is the Makeup Revolution foundation stick in the color F5. It's a little bit darker than my own skin color, but I just want that kind of as a base for the lighter areas. I guess I can go ahead and cover up the old eyebrows. Okay, so I'm going to take the brown cream paint, and I'm going to start carving out the hollows of my eyes. Just realized I didn't grab the black. Where is the black? I really just want to give the illusion of a really pronounced brow area. Really sunken in eyes. I'm going to mix a little bit of that brown into the green. I'm also going to use that brown to give more dimension to my face. I really want to make my cheekbones pop. I think I am going to go in with some white to really start those highlights. I don't mind if it mixes in with the base that I have on there. I really want to widen in between my eyes. So I'm highlighting the sides of my nose, really accentuating this brow bone area. Also want to highlight the sides of my nose. I basically have to try to make my nose disappear, which is a little tricky, but I think it can be done. And I also need to flatten out my top lip, or rather both my lips. I probably won't keep this area white. Not a huge fan of the white color, but it does help when trying to create the highlights. I'm kind of using the brush to start mapping out some of the scales. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of yellow. I know this looks kind of crazy right now, believe me, I know, but it'll get there. It'll get there. Now I think I'm gonna start shaping my brow / forehead area. And I'm just really trying to make this way more pronounced. So you need to contour all around it to make it look like it's poking out. Because I can't seem to find my Makeup Forever black color stick, I'm going to go in with the NYX SFX cream color, and I'm going to start deepening those shadows. My neighbors are so loud. I kind of want to trace around this nose area. I'm going to go in and just kind of map out the mouth. The mouth really has to appear wider, but it's also not just like a curved line. It kind of has like a little angle to it. I'm thinking of doing the perimeter of my face in black, so yeah.
Are you not going to do the prosthetic thing?
I don't have a prosthetic. Right now I'm just going to try to perfect all the scales around the mouth so that I can set all this and then trace them. Then the rest, I don't think I'm going to worry about it too much. I'm going to draw the scales in first and then color them in. I'm just blending the edges in between the colors. This looks really weird. It's kind of cool though. So I'm just quickly going to set this, and I'm going to use translucent powder in this applicator. This is actually an applicator used for fake hair, like topics, but it just comes out in little puffs of powder. So I'm going to apply it like this so that I don't move any of this cream. It's a lot of powder. Also getting some powder on a brush and then just kind of pressing the powder into my skin to make sure that the cream is really set. There's so much powder in the air. Oh, and so much powder on my hoodie. Anyway, now I'm going to go in and draw the scales. I'm going to finish all the shading and highlighting after I've done the scales. And I'm going to go in with the Suva Beauty Hydroliner in the color Grease. It is their black. And I'm going to be using a paintbrush for this. This is a liner brush. It's very long, so it's really useful when trying to draw in lines. And I'm just taking my dropper bottle with a little bit of water. I actually haven't used this hydroliner yet, so I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm going to start with the mouth area. Oh, that tickles. I need to have a line down my nose and lips. That's not straight. That's pretty damn straight. This brush really helps. Then it's got a kind of split lip situation. And I'm really just following the reference image. I'm kind of copying the scales that are sculpted into the design. I'm gonna trace around this nose area thing. So I'm kind of tracing my nose in a way. So that's half the nose. Also a little tip. And then I'm also going to change the shape of my own nostrils. I'm gonna kind of turn them into slits, I think. Kind of like a Voldemort nose. And then I'm gonna trace around my nostril. Ooh, this is starting to look kind of cool. When you draw in the scales, it makes such a huge difference. Okay, then I'm gonna continue on to the mouth scales. Kind of hungry, but it's like 1 in the morning. I don't know if I should eat or not. Oh, that looks so cool. Then there's a bunch of tiny little ones next to the nose. I might switch to a smaller paintbrush for this, just a little more comfortable for doing little detail work. And you kind of don't want to just do like a line and then do other little lines to create the scales because that looks unrealistic. You kind of want to actually draw each scale individually. I might switch over to my wolf face paint just because it's a little bit darker than this. Basically, I'm just drawing in a bunch of scales, just following the reference image, and this is going to be the most tedious part of this makeup look, I think. Okay, so I totally 100% did have a dinner break, and I got my Wolf black face paint, which by the way is back in stock. They have restocked the stores. I got this one at Friends, and I got a brand new 12 color palette. They are in stock. So anyway, switching over to this guy just because I'm more familiar with the consistency and because I think it dries down darker than the Hydra color. The color is more intense. Just gonna go ahead and draw the mouth scales. I'm gonna be switching back and forth between my short brush and my long brush because some lines are just more comfortable to do with a shorter brush. Now onto smaller ones. Once you get a hang of the shapes, it kind of goes by pretty fast. Like these are pretty much all the same shape. They're just rows of scales that have the same shape. You just vary the shape in between the rows, and that's what gives the different dimensions and texture to the skin. Now I'm just doing the brow area. And the curves that you make here will also help sell the illusion of the elevated brow. That's not symmetrical. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the rest of the face, but that's pretty much the gist of it. You just create rows of different sizes and shapes of scales. There's not much that I can teach you in this part. I'm literally just following a reference. All I can say is be careful with the weight of your lines. Like you can see this line is a lot thicker, so it stands out a lot more when compared to a line that's really thin and it just kind of fades away. So play around with the thickness and the weight of your lines, and that will help get a different texture to the skin as well. So that's half my face done. Now on to the other half. Now that all my scales are drawn on, I'm going to start shading them. And for that, I think I'm going to use this light army green. Don't know the name of this color. I think it's by NYX. And I'm going to start on these ones here. I kind of want to shade the bottom half of them to give them a sort of edge right there. This kind of gives them a little bit of volume. I'm going in with a slightly darker army green and just intensifying that. Ooh, me likey. Okay, so the second one that I used is this color right here. Oh, this one is actually from ColourPop. It's Team Captain. But this first one, it's from NYX, so there's no name on it. And I'm going to use that to shade all over. Here on the brow bone area, I really need to make this seem really curved. We can do that with shadows. And I apologize if you can hear my neighbors. They're having some sort of party and they're being really, really loud, even though it's past 2 in the morning. So that's fun. They're chanting, eh, eh, eh. And I don't know what the fuck they're celebrating. And you can see that really helps to add dimension when you compare both sides. I'm also going to shade around this inner corner area right here. Just going to shade this scale. And when shading the scales, you don't want to go to the very edge of the scale. You want to leave a little gap between the shadow and the edge. This will really help to give dimension and make the scales look 3D and not like they're just drawn on. I'm using green to shade these scales, even though these scales aren't green, just to add a little bit more green to the overall color of the snake. And you can see there's a ton of different colors, but it still reads as a green snake. And that's the thing, you don't have to like paint your entire face green for it to read as green. You just need to have enough details that are that color, and it'll read as being that color. This brush I'm using, by the way, is the Omnia BOM 435. It's a really, really teeny tiny pencil brush, which is perfect for doing this sort of detail work. For these really little scales, I'm going to use a pointed pencil brush. This is the Omnia BOM 485. And because it's pointed, I can get right in these little scales and be more precise about my application. Let me zoom you guys in for this. I'm just going in and kind of filling in the middle of all the scales, avoiding the edge. So you basically just want to do that for every single scale. You want to give every scale dimension and volume for it to look believable. So you just have to go in and shade every single one of them. But this is less tedious than drawing them in because the hard part's done. The hard part is symmetry. The hard part is getting all the lines right. Now it's just about filling it in, and that you can do pretty easily. I'm going to shade along the actual edges of the mouth opening to give it dimension along this line. And also going over the black, it kind of mutes it down a little, so it stops it from being pure black, which is good in this case. Okay, so I've got a little bit more shaded, but before I forget, I want to change the shape of my nostrils, which I was almost forgetting. So I'm just going to go in with the face paint, and I'm going to extend them downwards, I think, a little bit. I'm literally going inside my nose. It feels horrible. And then I'm also extending it like that. I know that snakes have pretty round nostrils, but this just helps to take away from the human anatomy that I'm using as a canvas. And whatever you can do to change that basic human anatomy will always help selling an illusion like this. That's why covering the brows are so important, because that already eliminates a huge thing that's very unique to the human anatomy. So anything that you can do to hide the fact that there is a person under the paint is good. Nice. Now back to shading. So this side is mostly shaded, but I want some variation in the shading. And so I'm going to go in, I think, with the Melt Gemini palette. I think I'm going to take Cupcake, which is this brown, to shade these scales down here. I'm basically just filling in the bottom half of these scales. And I've been thinking about adding a little bit of shimmer to this. I think I'm going to go in with the smaller pencil brush, and I'm going to take Goals. I just want to see how this looks like. Yeah, that gives a nice little touch to the darker areas. I feel like what's her face from Doctor Who. It's really late right now and I can't think of names, but you know who I'm talking about. Once all the shading is done and I'm starting to look pretty freaky, I'm going to color around my eyes, and for that I think I'm just going to go in with Leo from the Gemini palette. I'm going to concentrate that close to my lash line. Is that a good color match? I don't know. Then I'm also going to pack it onto my lid. I'm trying to get this done before 4 a.m. It is 3:20 right now. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm also going in with Team Captain onto my eyes to kind of tie in the color a little bit better with the rest of the face. Now to intensify the eyes even more, I'm going to go in with the color Bonnie from the Gemini palette. It is the black, and it is the blackest black to ever black. So be careful with it. But I'm just going to apply that right here where I want to make it seem really, really deep. And then I'm also going to take the pointed pencil brush and apply that black just in this inner corner area. Okay, we are almost there. Home stretch now. Just going to do 2 more things, and they're both highlighting, but they're highlighting in different ways. First, I'm going to go in with the Mayron Clown White Light, and this is basically just a creamy white base. And I'm going to take a small lip brush, and I'm going to highlight the other part of the scales. Kind of doing the same thing that I did with the shadow color, but on the side where I didn't fill in that shadow, if that makes sense. So you can see this just helps to add even more dimension to the scales. So I'm going to do that wherever I really want to intensify the volume. So brow bone area obviously is where I want the most volume. So definitely got to hit that with a bit of highlight. Then you can add a little bit to the forehead and just blend it out. Also go around the edges of some of them, but not all of them. I'm going to save that for the second type of highlighting that I'm doing, and that's with the water activated face paint. You can get much crisper lines, so it's really nice to do like those little edge highlights with it. And I'm also doing the center of the chin detail. I actually think the chin is one of my favorite parts of this look. I really like the effect, and all I did is add shadow in a sort of V shape. Now I'm basically just drawing little V's with the white to help intensify that effect even more. I'm mainly going to use this cream white to highlight the smaller scales. It really helps to give them a lot more dimension, especially these darker ones at the bottom of the face. Okay, so I lied and I did that cream highlighting on pretty much every single scale. Now, last step. It's time for the liquid highlight. And now I'm going in with the white wool face paint so that I can use it with the white. And I'm going to be concentrating this on the edges of the scales to just give them that little pop, basically going around all the edges. So yes, everything about this look has been pretty tedious, but it has to be done. Doing this to all the scales will really make a huge difference. Just helps define the edges a bit better. And if you have a good separation between all the scales, they'll seem even more pronounced and more 3D. See, look at that. Look at how much that changes the overall effect. Don't trace the scales, just apply this at the little corners. Now that's all the highlighting done. If I had time, I would also do this on my neck, but I don't. So I'm probably just going to paint it black in a little bit. But to finish this off, I'm just going to line my waterline with the Milk Makeup gel liner in the color CEO. It's just a dark brown liner. My eyes hurt so much from wearing these contacts. I've been wearing contacts all night and my eyes are not happy. So I just want to get this over with. So I changed into something that's not a hoodie, and I'm just going to take the black wolf face paint and I'm going to black out my ears. Not pleasant, but necessary. And then I'm also going to black out my neck. I don't know what my neighbors are celebrating, but it is lit over there. And it's not like young people listening to music or whatnot. It's like a family celebrating something. And they've been like singing and chanting all night, and it's just like weird. But they seem to be very happy about something. Like it's 4:40 and I can still hear them. I don't know if I should black it out completely. I kind of like these streaks. I like that it looks a little imperfect. I might just leave it that way. I'm gonna darken close to my jawline a little bit. Then I'm also gonna darken in my hairline, because who doesn't love painting their scalp at 4:40 in the morning? And this is the look done. I'm actually really happy with how it came out. I had no clue if I was going to be able to do this. I just kind of hoped I would, but this is pretty freaky. I'm digging it. If it weren't so late, I probably would continue working on it. I'd probably modify the colors a little bit. Oh, I just realized I forgot something. I did not add white to the center of this side of the forehead. So yeah, I don't know why I got it stuck in my head that I wanted to do a snake for St. Patrick's Day, but here it is. I did it. And I have a contact lens that is going rogue. So if my eyes look like this, then I apologize. But yeah, I just thought this would be something that no one else would do. No one ever thinks of the snakes. They only think of the saint. So this one goes out to all the snakes that he banished once upon a time. So yeah, I'm gonna go to bed because I'm pretty tired right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you like this look. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting me, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, my voice is just gone.